Okay, here we are in the final round, and this hand looks just fine. And we are certainly happy to keep. Now, the nice thing about this round is whether we win or lose, we're going to make the top 8 anyways. So it's completely okay for us to end up losing the match here. Still going to try to win, but ended up talking to an ORC here recently, and just to find out what the exact ruling is on any kind of splitting or whatnot into the top round, and found out that it's very much illegal. So definitely need to not do that. And then just apparently you can split in the absolute final round of an event, but not during any preliminary round, which would include this round. So we are just going to play. Here we're happy to drop the Drake and then get the Blood Ogre in hopefully the next turn. Now this opponent is pretty aggressive red-black deck here. He's got 2 Bloodseekers, I know for a fact, Ring Flesh. Believe he has a Singer Vampire. Here we are just going to go ahead and drop the Blood Ogre, just to try to stay aggressive. Now the Bloodseeker does a fair amount of work here in just keeping us low on life. So definitely a nice play. Hopefully he can't remove our guy here, and we can just brick wall him for the moment. The other nice thing is that if we can drop Levitation, it's going to be pretty good game against him. If we can have like a 4/1 flying in the air, it's going to do a fair amount of work. So what we could do, we could drop like Levitation right here, but then if he has any kind of answer to our Ogre, he can just start getting in for a fair amount. What I think is the better plan for us is to swing for 3 in the air, drop the Fleetwing, just so we have a backup plan. We could also just drop like the Elemental here, but that would just trade with any of his guys. So like that way, if he doesn't have the the answer for it, then we can drop Fleetwing. But I think Fleetwing is a little bit better. So we'll just bash for 3. The reason we're keeping the land in our hand is because if he has like Mind Rot, for instance, we don't just get blown out. And as long as we can keep his guys at bay here, I'm certainly fine just bashing in for 3 at a time, just sort of grinding him down. Our opponent is really going into the tank here, not exactly sure what's going on. He might be just checking out our deck list, just trying to find out some information about what we've got. So, we'll, oh, looks like there he is. At this point, we're just going to go ahead and drop the Fleetwing. Let's see what he's going to do here. Alright, we'll see what kind of action he's got here. Like, if he has a trick that takes care of our Ogre, we're definitely just going to snap block the... Oh, and I guess he does. We're on the Skywing, that's fine. So now I think we just drop... Let's see... Trying to get the player. Okay, so I think that now we just attack with Fleetwing, drop the Elemental. What could he play here? If he has removal for the Blood Ogre, like Doomblade or something, he could get us for like 6, get us to 10. He'd be at 13. We'd be racing pretty close. I think it's worth trying to make it in with the Fleetwing though. So we'll just attack with Fleetwing here, drop the Elemental, and then next turn drop Levitation. I think we still keep 2 cards in hand, because once again, if he has the Mind Rot, he just gets us. Yeah. He's probably got some sort of removal here. Royal Assassin. Okay, that's pretty big game. And a Fire Slinger. Okay. So Aether Adept is kind of a beating. We could have played a land last turn maybe, but I mean, the reason we were holding it back was for Levitation. At this point, what is our play? We could, okay, what we could do here is we could play Levitation, bash for 6, get him to 7. Then he'd have Royal Assassin active. I think the better play, though, if we bounce the Royal Assassin... Bounce the Royal Assassin, bash for 2 with our hexproof guy, hold back, next turn drop Levitation. Still, I don't think we have any 6 drops, so there's no reason to play our land yet. Like, we could potentially draw into a 2-drop, like Berserker, but it's a low enough chance. I think we're just going to go ahead and just do it this way. Okay, so we bounce the Royal Assassin, bash for 2. We could even shove with the Ogre here. Like, he doesn't have any good blocks, but he could hit us on the backswing for quite a bit of damage. So I think it's just going to be... Let's see if he attacks with these. What does he hit us for? 3, 5, 6. We go to 8. He goes to 11. 3, 7, 9, 11. I think actually it might be safe to attack here with the Ogre. I mean, like, he gets us low, but he doesn't kill us. Even if he has Lava Axe, let's see, what is that? 3, 5, 6, 7, 12. 1 shy. 2 shy. Okay, yep, we get in with these 2 here. Because, I mean, if we win the game at 2 life, that's still fine. Now he replays Assassin. We just went on our turn, unless he has something else. Yep, and that's game. So even if he attacks here, it's still over. Okay, and Levitation is a total beating. Yep, and that's the game. Okay, so against Red-Black, what do we want to bring in? What did we see? He's pretty fast. We might want to bring in like Wall of Torches. It's a potential possibility. Reverberate may not be the worst either. Like to copy his Ring Flesh and like shoot it back at his own guys. Not sure if we want to do that though, because it could just be a dead card. Dragon's Claw is another possibility, just to gain the life off the red spells. This might actually go farther than the Wall of Torches. What do we cut? Let's see. These creatures are pretty small. A Greatsword is not nearly as effective. Probably bring in Wall of Torches. Didn't see too many big creatures. I think we can maybe afford to cut like a Lightning Elemental to bring in Dragon's Claw. And that way we just try to stabilize with our flyers to try to push it over. Let's see. Like, Levitation still does a fair amount of work for us. I think this is actually a pretty good build. Let's try this. Okay, this hand is certainly fine. So our opponent is playing with 41 cards. Interesting. I've never seen Levitation be this completely busted. Normally a card I would not play, but I mean in this deck it just fits so well together. It just maximizes our threats. Alright, so here we are. So we're going to go ahead and lead out with the Phantasmal Bear. Hope to get some early beats in. One thing about a Royal Assassin is it can just shut us down pretty well. I mean, like, it's a very good card against us. If we can put up enough pressure to, you know, not have it be that effective, that'd be pretty nice. Okay, here we're happy to just bash in. Drop the wall. Okay. I assume he's going to choose Vampire here. Or Zombie, I guess. So like now the the nice thing is we can end up going Skywinter Drake this turn, next turn, play the Fire Slinger, hold the cancel for any kind of huge threat he's got, and then just keep bashing in. Like ideally we want to hold off for his 5-drop, because if he has Sanger Vampire, that can really shut us down, so if we can have the cancel up on that turn and be ready for it. And we can just like chip away at him with the Drake and the Fire Slinger and hopefully get there. Like I really like Wall of Torches in this matchup because he's got so much nonsense early game. You just want to just toss the creatures away. Alright, and he's got no plays here. So now we just bash in. If we get through, we can drop the Blood Ogre. But I still kind of like holding the cancel up because we're in a dominating board position, and there's no reason for us to, you know, just get blown out by something here. So I think that I think the Fire Slinger is a little bit of a stronger play for us. Because, I mean, he is losing this race right now. He needs to have some pretty big plays here for it to matter. Taps out for whatever it is, it's going away. Yeah, Call to the Grave there is pretty busted, so now we just drop the land, feign the mana leak, bash in, and just drop the Blood Ogre. Like, he's got to trade here, otherwise he's just losing. Like, he's so far behind on tempo. If he doesn't block here, he goes to 6, then goes to 5, end of turn. And then next turn we just, yeah. And we just grind him out with the Fire Slinger. So pretty deep in the tank if he wants to trade here or not. I cannot imagine that not trading here is correct. But we will see. I mean, to be fair, he could just be like trying to like mine our deck from previous matches to find out what we've got, you know, what our potential plays are, because this is basically essentially his last play of the match. Like, if this goes wrong, he's just out. So totally valid for him to, you know, spend a decent amount of time thinking about this. Okay, here we are. So he is making the trade. Okay. Alright. Yes, thank you, ORC. Okay, now he's in a very bad place. Like, I think Fireball gets him out of this, not much else. Don't really know what he's got here. Definitely not Gorehorn Minotaurs, that will not do it. Gorehorn and Stormblood, that's okay. Still doesn't really matter that much. So I mean, like, at the end of turn he goes to 7. If we bash in with these two and the Lightning Elemental, like, he basically trades here, loses that, goes to 4? 3 on his end. Yeah, okay, so we just do that. Honestly, like, we may not even, like, attack with Lightning Elemental just because we don't want it to just trade with Stormblood. I mean, it's going to trade with Stormblood regardless, so maybe we do. Kind of hard to know. So he's real deep in the tank here. Not sure what's going on. Like, I don't think there's any other plays here. I mean, he's just, you know. Okay. Alright, so now we could just drop Looter here. I think it's probably correct to drop Elemental and just, like, force the block. Just because, I mean, yes, we trade with Berserker, but, like, then he has to block the Blood Ogre. Or basically die. Like, essentially just puts way more pressure on him, and we're all about doing that. So now, like, this one chumps, this one trades, he goes to 4, 3 on his end step, 2 on our turn, Skywinder kills him unless he's got an answer. Or Blood Ogre, or both. And then Fireslinger kills him two turns later after that anyways. So he's in a really tough spot here. Like, he basically needs Sorin's Thirst on the Skywinder and then something else. Like, he needs, like, Sorin's Thirst. Oh, he's got this. Alright. He does have the Sorin's Thirst. Into, like, a vampire, basically. So now he dies on my next upkeep if he has nothing. I guess he must have some sort of removal here. He's probably trying to think if he wants to kill the Fireslinger or the Blood Ogre. And that's a beating. Okay. And we can't play it, obviously, but, I mean, if it comes to that, it's a pretty big beating. If he goes to 2 here, it's going to be pretty hard not to close this out. Like, if he goes to 2, then he literally has to kill the Fireslinger before our next turn and play a blocker. Yeah, and that's pretty much the situation he's in. Not looking good. For him. And that is the match. we will see you in the top 8 draft. We have gone a perfect record of 7-0. I really think we're getting a better handle on this this format, and I think that red-blue is an extremely strong archetype. It just complements each other so perfectly for draft as well. So we will see you in the top 8 draft shortly. Okay, here we are for the top 8 draft. Very happy to first pick a Fireball here. Believe it is the most strong card in the pack by a decent shot. I've been more and more impressed by Gideon's Lawkeeper, but at the same time, I mean, this is a stronger card. So hopefully we can wheel like an Arsonist or potentially something else decent. Okay, so for pick 2, I really think that the Blood Ogre is definitely the strongest card here. I've just been more and more impressed with his performance. Fire Slinger is also quite good, but Blood Ogre is just a total beating. Like, in a format where so few creatures have first strike, it just goes a long way at really just winning all the creature fights. Okay, so here we've got Shock, which is a pretty easy pick here. Getting past a decent amount of white, like Spirit Mantle is very good, Gravedigger is fine, Griffin is good, but Shock is far and away the best card here for us. So we're happy to pick it up. These are actually, I mean, these are 3 of the best red cards we could hope for. Let's see, going into this pack, it looks like black might be open. I mean, back-to-back Gravediggers is a pretty strong signal. Divination is a good card also. I really like the blue-red setup, but you know, seeing 2 Gravediggers, it's a very, very strong signal. Like the Crimson Mage is fine. It's a weaker card than the Gravedigger though, and I think that I'm actually just going to hedge here, take the Gravedigger, see what happens. Alright, so here we've got some interesting cards. Like we have Ring Flesh, which I think is probably the strongest card here. Like we've still got like Stampeding Rhino, like a decent amount of green is coming. But like Drifting Shade is pretty good. Probably just going to take the Ring Flesh. Like the early game is so important that I think that's probably the best card for us. Unsummon is quite good also, but I think we're just going to pick up a little bit more removal here. So at this point we want to try to like pick up like a Bloodseeker or maybe like a Stormblood Berserker. Just try to get some of that early aggression in so we can really just sort of force through the damage. Here we're happy to pick up either a Sorin's Thirst or a Goblin Arsonist. Wow, this is actually kind of interesting. Like we have a fair amount of removal now. We want to target and activate our guys, but at the same time, like Sorin's Thirst is a very good card. I think I'm just going to take the Sorin's Thirst here. Here we're happy to grab the Hellhound. Like Mind Rot is fine also, but like we want to get some threats on the table, and I think that you know, making sure that we're not too creature light is going to be pretty important. Here we're happy to pick up, like Tunneler is actually a pretty good combination with Hellhound. Lightning Elemental is actually a card I've been more and more impressed by. You know, I think that we might be able to pick up like another Tunneler. Tunneler is good, but I'm actually going to take the Elemental here. I think it might be a little stronger. Well, no, we've got a Blood Ogre. This is kind of tough. I think I'm just going to take the Tunneler here. We can probably pick up a Lightning Elemental a little bit later, and I think that we want to make sure we have enough early game. Like these other cards are fine. Like we could, you know, hedge and pick up like a Ponder, but I mean, Vampire is just fine. Like Manic Vandal is fine also, but I think Mind Rot is a little better, just for strictly for value. These cards are pretty terrible. Definitely just cutting the Guardian, who's actually pretty good against us, so yeah, definitely just Smallpox is actually not bad there. Probably not playing it, but yeah, we certainly could. So here, okay, we've got Shock is pretty much the card we're looking at. I mean, Gravedigger is a great card for recurring all of our nonsense, but let's face it, Shock is Shock. It just kills things. And it's also very versatile. Goes straight to the dome. Okay, this pack is pretty light for us. Like, we could grab the Piker here. I think Tormented Soul is more about what we want to do, though. If we can get more Bloodthirst guys and really just turn them on with the Tormented Soul and be even more aggressive, I think that's going to be a little bit better for us. Here we have Consume Spirit. We have enough removal now. I think that we just want to pick up the Gravedigger and just start recurring all kinds of nonsense. So I think it's going to be a better pick for us. Like, Consume Spirit can go to the dome, but I mean, we have 2 shocks, a Ring Flesh, you know, a Fireball. I think Gravedigger will be a bit stronger for us. A Sorin's Thirst. Like, we have a lot of removal at this point. We want to make sure we've got enough creatures. Okay, this is an interesting pick. Chandra's Outrage is one of the best removal in the set because it kills almost anything, and it does damage to the opponent as well. However, we are creature light, and if you can resolve a Gorhorn Minotaurs, have a hit play, as with Bloodthirst, it's almost impossible to lose the game at that point. I think as good as Chandra's Outrage is, we have 2 shocks, the Ring Flesh, the Sorin's Thirst. We're just going to pick up the Minotaurs and try to go deep. Here we have another Sorin's Thirst. I mean, this is just an obscene amount of removal. Wow. Like, I'm tempted to take the Crimson Mage here, because if we can get... You know, we want to have enough guys. I mean, Sorin's Thirst is so good. Wow. This is actually kind of tough. Like, if all we have is removal, you know, we'll need some guys. Yeah. I think Sorin's Thirst is good enough. Well, I'm going to take the creature here. I want to make sure we have enough creatures. We want to be able to be aggressive. Like, here we could grab a second Mind Rot. Blood Rage Vampire is fine. With the amount of removal we have, like, I think it really does a fair amount of work. Here we definitely just... We can cut like a Celestial Purge or a Looter. Both very good. I think we're just going to cut the Purge. We could take a second Tunneler here also, but... You know, I think we'll be able to get enough good cards. We won't need to. So, like, the Crimson Mage versus the second Sorin's Thirst, that's an arbitrary pick. Fireslinger's great, but I don't think this one's close. I think that, like, Blood Ogre is so good. Let's see. We've got the Tormented Soul. Like, I mean, First Strike is so ridiculous in this format. Like, we have a pretty thick 3-drop slot, though. Yeah, I think the Blood Ogre is still better here. I mean, like, we have Consume Spirit. We have just a lot of good action. Probably not even playing the Zombie Goliath. Piker is exactly what we want. Like, now this deck is really coming together. We have a fair amount of early game. Like, we got some late game. Not playing the Zombie Goliath. We have a decent amount of removal. Like, a Distress is great in case they've got, like, some sort of bomb. Sure. So, like, going into pack 3, we've got, you know, 20 to 22 playables. This is looking very strong. We probably don't even bother with Smallpox. I mean, like, we could, it can just, like, sacrifice, like, our Piker or a Tunneler or something. It's fine, but I think we just want to be bashing. Okay. And here it's not close. Well, wow, 3 Gravediggers is so good. But 3 shocks, I think, is better. I mean, because they can still hit the, you know, the head. We've got 13 creatures. Ugh. I think shock is better. Vampire Outcasts, far and away the best card here for us. 4/4 lifelink, it's just a total beating. Like, the curve looks good. I mean, this deck just looks obscene right now. We need some more 2-drops. Like, we probably don't have room for, you know, both of the Blood Rage vampires, or maybe we just like don't run Mind Rot. Yeah. One of the nice things with this kind of deck is if you can just flood the board with creatures, like, even if they have better cards, they can't really deal with it. Okay, here we have the Bloodseeker, or the third Blood... Are you serious? Oh my god. Okay. Wow, I've never been able to pick up 3 of this card before. Like, this card is stupid. Bloodseeker is also very good, though. I still think it's Blood Ogre here. I'm going to stick to my guns. Like, this card is so powerful if you can get it active. Even as a 2/2 first strike, it kills almost anything in the format for the first half of the game. Like, we may just end up cutting, like, the Blood Rage vampires. They might just not be good enough. And I think that's probably what's going to happen. So now we just want to really fill in our, like, 1 and 2 drop slot and then just take this deck all the way. Okay, and there is a Sorin's Thirst, and that will act as a creature. That's fine. I mean, this card is still ridiculous. Like, we have so much removal. We have so many quality creatures here. What is going on with this draft? Like, it can't be correct to take any other card here than Sorin's Thirst. Alright, I guess we just have 3 Sorin's Thirsts. I mean, I've never had the ability to pick up this much removal, pretty much ever. Like, the only thing I worry about at this point is we don't have enough creatures. Okay. It's like Arachnid Spinner's a bomb, but we just can't worry about that now. Arsonist fits our curve really well. He gets in, he forces... I think the important thing about him is that while the Onyx Mage is really good, it's great. I mean, it's fantastic in this deck, I'm not going to lie. The Arsonist forces Bloodthirst, and we have so many creatures that have Bloodthirst that I think we just have to take the Arsonist here. Like, okay, Tormented Soul is just retarded in this deck. I mean, Dragon Skull Summit is also really good, you know, and we do have, like, double black, some double red. But, I mean, the Tormented Soul has got to be better for us. Yeah, so, I mean, now we just cut the Tunneler because it doesn't really do anything. Not good enough. Probably cut the Distant Tomb. Yeah, this deck is absolutely out of control. We can pick up, like, a Distress in case we've got, like, a Super Bomb. You know, we could grab a Greatsword here. I mean, Greatsword is actually kind of ridiculous with 2 guys that are unblockable. I mean, that just seems unfair. Or like with our Blood Ogres or that nonsense. Yeah, I think we probably cut Disentomb. Maybe cut Mind Rot. Because we're just spending too much time just killing things. Like Tectonic Rift could give us like a Falter effect and just like get everybody through. We don't really need it though, we have so much removal. I think we just take Deathmark and we run against like a red-white deck that just can't play creatures. So we're at 23 now. I mean, like, this deck is basically already built. Got 14 creatures, absurd amounts of removal, and really efficient, powerful, just really strong cards. Like, here we take Vandal just in case they have like a bunch of artifacts and, you know, we can bring it in from the board. It's not good enough to... What is going on with this deck? Okay, so Bloodseeker's insane. This could very well be like the strongest deck I have drafted. There's another one that was really, really good. This deck is stupid. I am perfectly happy saying that. Like, I think we run 16 land and just stuff all of these cards in there and just go to town. Like, the curve is perfect. I mean, we have 3 1-drops, you know, we've got some 2-drops, we have infinite cheap removal, we have, like, the Blood Ogres are just ridiculous, like, the Gravediggers get everything back, like, the Minotaurs, the Outcast, the Fireball, 3 Shocks, this deck is just nutty! Okay, so here we are for deck building. Yeah, I'm very, very happy going into this draft with this setup that we've got. Like, the one thing we could change, we could play like a Distress over the Hellhound, but I think that having enough creatures is really important here. Like, if we're going to run the Greatsword, and I think we will, because we've got so much first strike and just so much nonsense, that I think that it's important to have enough creatures. So, I mean, for color considerations, like, we could end up, like, just running, like, a Blood Rage Vampire over the Hellhound, and, like, most of the time it's better because it's a 4/2, and I think that's actually fine. Do we run Mind Rat? Don't know. What else are we missing here? Okay, so we've got... the Gorhorn Minotaurs. There we go. Okay. 24 cards. I think we just go 16 land. We just go deep. Yeah. I am extremely pleased with this deck. I think that, okay, it's saying 8-8, and yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I mean, we've got the pretty even split. So I think that's good. Okay, we will see you for round 1. Nutty.